Overwatch 2 recently exited early access and officially launched, albeit not without some controversy. However, that's not the focus of this video. I'd like to express my thoughts and provide feedback on the current live version of Overwatch 2, specifically regarding the game's UI and UX. I've also included some additional feature suggestions. But who am I? I am a UX/UI designer during the day and just your average quickplay enthusiast by night. I've been playing the game since one of the first beta weekends in 2016. I've experienced the glory days, the dark ages, and now the free-to-play era. So, let's dive into the video. The main objectives of these suggestions are to enhance usability, establish consistency, introduce quality of life features, reduce cognitive load. This video is divided into chapters that will address different feature areas. So let's dive into it. Let's begin with some feature requests related to skins. How about adding an option to the skin selector that allows you to choose a random skin from your available collection? Since the random option would be included in the skin selector list, you could even reselect it on the spawn screen during startup to obtain different skins. It's worth noting that this won't automatically change your skin upon respawning after death. Additionally, let's explore an option we could call something like the rotating collection. This concept operates similarly to the random option, but with a twist. You would have the ability to handpick the skins that the randomizer draws from. Both of these features could have a broad application, not just for skins, but also for highlight intros, charms, emotes, voice lines, and souvenirs. As a visual representation, I've put together a mock-up illustrating how a random emote element might be integrated into the emote wheel. If you're scrolling through the shop, contemplating whether to splurge on the Orisa sheep skin that costs an absurd amount of money, here's the deal: right now, you're left in the dark about how that skin will actually look in first person, arguably the most crucial perspective. The solution? A POV skin viewer for every skin. It could be a video that cycles through all the animations, giving you a taste of what it's like to use the skin. And hey, if you're feeling adventurous, throw in some buttons underneath that video. These buttons could be your ticket to triggering all sorts of different animations, allowing you to explore the skin from every angle. Now, let's talk quality of life upgrades. Let the selection option stay put when you're switching between skins. For instance, you could easily compare weapon designs across different skins without any fuss. When Lifeweaver was added, a pose was added with his weapon. What makes this pose stand out is that other heroes also has weapons that are connected to their bodies. Surprisingly, though, they don't have poses. So, it's time for a consistency update. Let's introduce poses for all the equipment. There's quite a roster of heroes impacted by this: Doomfist, Diva, Orisa, Reinhardt's shield, Sigma's shield, Wrecking Ball's ball form, Bastion's machine gun, Echo, Genji's small sword, Mei's snowball, Pharah's helmet on and off, and even Moira's weapons. This quality of life tweak serves a dual purpose. Not only does it bring consistency, but it also shines a spotlight on the incredible quality of the skins. The fresh event viewer seems to lack the polish found in other segments of the UI. First and foremost, there's a noticeable absence of animations when you enter the screen. Take a glance at the shop's entrance animation, it's like comparing night and day. The same applies to the challenge screen. A little animation love could go a long way there too. But let's focus in. If we were to kick things up a notch, we could infuse some animation into the UI as you step into this screen. And speaking of stepping in, the current static image of Null Sector feels, well, lackluster. Imagine if we injected some life by throwing in some 3D Null Sector enemies in an idle state. Now, onto the nitpicks. The challenge progress bar doesn't quite harmonize with the rest of the UI. Compare it to this example, for instance. One other thing is that the player icon doesn't fit in the reward preview. It could easily be fixed with a crop. As for the call to action button that's geared towards starting the mode, let's be real, it's a bit on the bland side. Use something like play missions instead. Speaking of which, let's chat about a user's journey after clicking that button. Currently, it lands you in the story mission selector, but it doesn't default to the underworld mission. You're left to pick that manually. As a user, when I tap that button, my primary desire is to jump into the mission, especially the specific one I clicked for. Even if we might not be the biggest fans of it, there's no denying that the Battle Pass plays a significant role in Overwatch 2. So, why not fully embrace it? Consider incorporating a distinctive Battle Pass button in the top right of the screen, making it effortlessly accessible from every corner of the game. Now, I won't deny that this inclusion might attract some scrutiny, possibly being perceived as evil. But let's face it, the angry mob need new fuel to its Overwatch 1.5 fire. When a fresh hero joins the Overwatch 2 roster, you have the option to choose them through the Battle Pass and test them out in the practice range. However, once you step into the practice range, you're randomly assigned a hero to play with. Here's the thing, why not automatically assign you the new hero you're eager to try out, instead of leaving it to chance? Blizzard, please fix. After you have surpassed level 80 of your Battle Pass, you no longer see your exact level in the UI, due to it being obscured in the level ranges of the unlockable player titles. This can easily be fixed by adding it to the career profile. They have added a help pop-up. While it makes sense when used in the underworld menu, in the majority of places, it doesn't provide any additional information. It displays the same amount of information. Why even have it there? It should be removed to reduce visual clutter. When you want to quickly access your career profile, you can left-click on your player icon. This works the same way when you are in a group with your friends, you can simply click on their icons. However, if you go into your friend list, last match, or recent player sections, you can't do the same. Instead, you have to right-click and then select Career Profile. Currently, left-clicking does not trigger any action in these sections. I suggest adding the same left-click feature here for consistency and convenience. There are a lot of menus in Overwatch 2, and they almost look the same, especially challenges and career profile. These are the two menus you often visit. How can we set them apart? Challenges are associated with the color orange, both in the top right button and the escape menu. We could lean into this idea, emphasizing that challenges are connected with the color orange. Why not change the selection color in the challenge menu to orange? While we're at it, the color contrast between orange and white doesn't meet PEG standards, making it hard to read. Let's change it to black to achieve better contrast values. Now, the two menus are easily recognized. The strokes on the UI are just messy. On some design element they add something, but mostly they add visual noise to the UI. If you compare the challenge menu with the achievement menu or the history menu, you see there are three different implementations on side strokes. First, the rounded strokes in the challenge menu, they look the worst. A better one, the implementation on the history menu. But the best and cleanest one is the one in the achievements menu. No unnecessary borders that only add inconsistency and visual noise. Make this the standard. A small quality of life addition to the cosmetic menu would be the inclusion of buttons to switch between the next and previous hero. Here's a mock-up of how it could work. The A and keys are currently unused and could be utilized for navigation. With Overwatch 2, name cards and player titles were added. All of these new cosmetics, in combination with the already cluttered player icons, create difficulty when navigating. Firstly, the name cards and player titles are sorted differently. Some are placed in the Battle Pass section, while others are in the Season sections. With the introduction of new progression cosmetics, it becomes crucial to implement a search bar and filter functions for events and seasons. Mind you, I have completed every Battle Pass since Overwatch 2's launch, and yet there is no dedicated section for each season, 1 to 6. Additionally, I would like to suggest a feature here, adding the rotating feature that was proposed for skins. This could include both a random selection from everything you own and a rotating collection that cycles through a pre-selected subset of the items you own. On to some bugs. In this menu we get a strange hover effect. Blizzard, please fix. In the custom browser, you'll notice a search field. However, this search field remains non-functional on the popular tab. It serves no purpose. As such, it might be a good idea to remove it entirely. I am aware that its inclusion is likely intended for the sake of consistency. A solution could be to add an inactive state to it. But it could potentially lead to added frustration. Players might struggle to figure out how to activate it, which could ultimately be counterproductive. With the dawn of a new season, a fresh game mode called Flashpoint has made its debut, bringing along 2 new maps. If you're eager to dive deep into these uncharted territories, you're left with a couple of options. You can either jump into unranked or competitive matches and cross your fingers, hoping for a chance at the new maps. Alternatively, there's the Flashpoint mode in the arcade, a 5v5 setup that seems quite appealing. However, here's the catch: this mode follows the arcade rule set, not the typical unranked or competitive one. You're free to mix and match support, DPS, and tank roles, and tanks have less health. It's a deviation from the regular Overwatch experience. My suggestion is to integrate the 5v5 temporary Flashpoint mode into the unranked lineup instead of arcade. The mode in unranked could share the queues with the rest of the quickplay queue, thus not splitting the players queuing into 2 different game modes. This is more a point for future game modes or even maps. The new end-of-game progress viewer is really nice, but I feel there's a lot of button pressing required to exit it. An easy fix for this would be to add an option, Automatic Progress Viewer, in the Options menu. It could work something like this, with a time indicator that automatically switches to the next screen after a set duration. You could opt out of the timer with a press of the Escape key. One of my friends suggested that the score screen should be available after the game. If you want to review it during the play of the game, people might leave, and you won't get the full picture. Currently, you only have a couple of seconds to look at it before it disappears, and then you have to search for it within a multitude of menus. However, the tab key is currently unused in the menu. Why not make it display the last game's scoreboard? Additionally, the scoreboard should include players who left during the last seconds of the game. The new progression icons work well in the showcase view of the progression system, but in the overview, they look even worse. I created a mock-up to illustrate how they will appear as you unlock even more. They do not align with the rest of the minimalist and sleek style. Using numbers to represent your progress would be a better fit. So, there you have it. This video is not intended to be a deep dive into every aspect of the UX/UI. More like things that have bugged me during the early access period. In my opinion, these features and changes would enhance the overall polish of Overwatch 2. The existing UI already has its strong points, but there's definitely room for improvement. If you found this discussion intriguing, then I'm genuinely pleased. Thanks for taking the time to listen.